What makes a woman truly fall in love? It's not just about confidence, charm, or even physical attraction. According to legendary psychologist Carl Jung, the deepest bonds form in the hidden layers of the mind. There are unconscious forces at play, shaping who we desire and why. And when a woman loves someone, there are 4 powerful things she notices, often without even realizing it. Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, believed that love is far more than a fleeting emotion. It's a meeting of souls, shaped by ancient archetypes and the depths of the unconscious. While society often focuses on surface-level attraction, Jung revealed that what captivates a woman's heart operates on a much deeper level. Our instincts, hidden desires, and even our shadows influence who we love. And when a woman develops real feelings, her subconscious picks up on subtle signals, signs of emotional depth, purpose, character, and a connection that goes beyond the physical. In this video, we'll explore the 4 key things women always notice when they love someone through the lens of Carl Jung's wisdom. These aren't just random traits. They're rooted in psychology, evolution, and the timeless patterns of human connection. Let's begin. Number 1. Emotional depth and vulnerability. Carl Jung believed that love is not just about the persona we present to the world, but about the raw, unfiltered depths of who we truly are. One of the most powerful things a woman unconsciously notices in a man is his emotional depth, his ability to access both his strength and his vulnerability. Jung spoke of the animus, the inner masculine energy within a woman, but he also emphasized that true connection happens when a man is in touch with his own shadow, the parts of himself he may hide, such as fear, sadness, or uncertainty. A woman doesn't just fall for a man's confidence. She is drawn to the way he carries his wounds, how he navigates his emotions, and whether he has done the inner work to understand himself. Think about it. A man who suppresses his emotions, who refuses to acknowledge pain or weakness, may appear strong on the surface, but beneath that armor is often fragility. Jungian psychology teaches us that true strength comes from integration, not denial. When a man can sit with his sadness, express his fears in a healthy way, or admit when he's wrong, it signals something profound to a woman. It tells her that he is real, that he won't crumble under pressure, and that he has the emotional resilience to handle life and love with maturity. This isn't about emotional dumping or neediness. It's about the quiet confidence of a man who knows himself, shadows and all. In relationships, this plays out in subtle but meaningful ways. A woman notices how a man reacts when things don't go his way. Does he blame others, or does he take responsibility? Does he shut down when hurt, or does he communicate with honesty? These moments reveal far more than grand gestures ever could. And here's the key: perfection is not only unattainable, it's unattractive. A man who pretends to have it all together creates distance, while a man who embraces his humanity, flaws, growth, and all invites true intimacy. The practical takeaway? Authenticity always wins. A woman's love deepens when she sees that a man isn't performing, but is genuinely secure in who he is, strengths and struggles alike. Jung's work reminds us that the goal isn't to be flawless, but to be whole. And that wholeness, that willingness to be seen, is what truly captures a woman's heart. Number 2. Purpose and ambition. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming one's true, integrated self, holds a profound key to understanding what women unconsciously seek in a partner. A man who is actively pursuing his purpose, who is aligned with his deepest values and striving toward meaningful goals, carries an invisible magnetism. This isn't about wealth, status, or external achievements, but rather the quiet fire of a man who knows where he's going and why. Women are exquisitely attuned to this energy, not because they're looking for someone to provide in a traditional sense, but because purpose signals something far deeper, psychological stability, resilience, and the capacity to navigate life's uncertainties with direction. Jungian psychology reveals that archetypes, the universal, instinctual patterns of human behavior, play a hidden role in attraction. The provider archetype, for instance, isn't just about material security, it's about the ability to hold space, to lead, and to create a container of safety through inner strength. A man who is self-actualized, who is actively engaged in his own growth, naturally embodies this energy. He doesn't need to boast or prove himself, because his focus is on the work itself, the craft, the mission, the calling that pulls him forward. Women notice this almost immediately, not through words, but through the way he carries himself, how he spends his time, and the subtle confidence that comes from being rooted in something larger than ego. But there's a delicate balance here, one that Jung often emphasized in his work on opposites. Arrogance, the inflation of the ego, is not the same as genuine confidence. A man who is obsessed with appearances, who constantly needs to assert his superiority, is often compensating for an inner void. True purpose isn't loud, it's steady. It doesn't demand recognition, because it's fueled by an internal drive, not external validation. Women can sense this distinction instinctively. They're drawn to the man who is humble in his strength, who is ambitious but not ruthless, who pursues his goals without losing sight of his humanity. This is where Jung's wisdom becomes especially practical. A man doesn't need to have his entire life figured out to embody this quality. He simply needs to be in motion, actively engaging with his own becoming. Whether it's through his career, his creativity, or his commitment to personal growth, what matters is that he's moving with intention. Women don't fall in love with a finished product. They fall in love with the process, the daily act of showing up, of striving, of aligning action with values. And in that space, where purpose meets authenticity, something irresistible is born. Number 3, how he treats others. One of the most revealing windows into a man's character, and one of the first things women instinctively notice, is how he treats people when he thinks no one important is watching. Carl Jung's concept of the persona describes the social mask we all wear, the curated version of ourselves we present to the world. But true intimacy can only flourish when the mask slips, revealing what lies beneath. This is why women pay such close attention to how a man interacts with those who can offer him nothing in return. The waiter, the janitor, the stranger asking for directions. These unguarded moments expose the shadow aspects of his personality that don't appear in polished dating profiles or carefully crafted first impressions. Jung taught us that the shadow self contains all the parts of our psyche we try to hide or deny, our repressed anger, our hidden insecurities, our unconscious biases. When a man is rude to service staff, dismissive of those he considers beneath him, or impatient with people who can't advance his social standing, he's revealing shadow material he hasn't integrated. Conversely, when he demonstrates consistent kindness to strangers, respect for elders, and patience with children, it signals emotional maturity and a well-developed moral compass. Women intuitively understand this distinction because they're biologically and psychologically wired to assess long-term partner potential, not just how a man treats her, but how he might treat their future children, aging parents, or vulnerable members of their community. There's a profound psychological truth at play here. How we treat those with less power shows our true level of personal development. A man who maintains basic human decency regardless of someone's status demonstrates what Jung called individuation, the ability to see others and himself clearly, without projection or false superiority. This becomes especially crucial in long-term relationships, where stress, fatigue, and life pressures inevitably strip away social niceties. The man who snaps at flight attendants during travel delays will eventually turn that same impatience on his partner. The one who talks down to junior colleagues will likely display similar condescension in private arguments. This doesn't mean expecting perfection. We all have moments of frustration or thoughtlessness. What women notice is the underlying pattern. Does he apologize when he's unnecessarily harsh? Does he reflect on his behavior? These are signs of someone doing the inner work Jung advocated. The most attractive quality isn't never making mistakes, but showing consistent effort to grow beyond them. When a woman sees a man extend basic dignity to everyone he encounters, she unconsciously registers that this is someone who will likely extend that same respect to her, not just during the courtship phase, but through all of life's challenges. This is why these small, everyday interactions matter far more than grand romantic gestures when it comes to building deep, lasting love. Number 4. Intellectual and spiritual connection. At the heart of Carl Jung's vision of profound love lies the concept of syzygy, the mystical union of opposites that creates something greater than the sum of its parts. This goes far beyond physical attraction or surface-level compatibility. It speaks to that rare meeting of minds and spirits where two people somehow recognize each other at the deepest level. Women instinctively sense this connection when it appears, not through shared hobbies or interests necessarily, but through the electric current of mutual understanding that flows when conversations transcend the mundane and touch on life's bigger questions. This is why intellectual and spiritual alignment often becomes the make-or-break foundation for lasting love, even if neither partner can articulate why in the early stages. Jung's work reveals that when a woman encounters a man who possesses genuine curiosity about the world, who engages with ideas not to impress but because he's truly compelled by them, it activates what we might call the sage archetype within her own psyche. This isn't about academic degrees or intellectual posturing. It's about that quality of mind that remains open, questioning, and vibrantly alive to possibility. Women notice when a man's eyes light up discussing philosophy, science, art, or even the mysteries of everyday existence because it signals a mind that hasn't grown rigid with age or complacency. More importantly, it suggests someone capable of growing alongside her rather than someone who will stubbornly resist evolution, a crucial factor for relationships meant to last decades rather than months. The spiritual dimension Jung emphasized adds another layer to this connection. When he wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances, he captured that alchemical transformation that occurs when two people share not just compatible worldviews but similar depths of seeking. A woman in love often finds herself drawn to how a man wrestles with life's meaning, whether through formal religion, personal meditation, or simply through his way of moving through the world with wonder. This spiritual resonance creates an unshakable bond because it touches something eternal within both partners, something that persists even when physical beauty fades or life circumstances change dramatically. What makes this kind of connection so powerful is its rarity in an age of distraction and superficial engagement. In a world where most conversations stay safely in the shallows, the ability to plunge into deeper waters together becomes increasingly precious. Women recognize, often before men do, that shared values about truth, beauty, and transcendence will sustain intimacy long after passion's initial flames subside. This doesn't require perfect agreement on every issue, but rather a shared commitment to the journey of understanding. When two people can look at the stars or a piece of art, or a moral dilemma, and feel their minds and hearts resonate in similar ways, they've touched what Jung saw as love's highest potential, not just as emotional fulfillment, but as a sacred path toward wholeness. As we've explored through Carl Jung's profound psychological lens, the qualities that truly capture a woman's heart extend far beyond superficial attraction. These 4 fundamental traits, emotional depth and vulnerability, purpose and authentic ambition, consistent kindness that reveals true character, and that rare intellectual spiritual connection, form the pillars of what Jung might call wholehearted love. Together, they create the conditions for a bond that transcends temporary infatuation and touches something eternal in the human experience. Each trait reflects a different facet of psychological integration, from shadow work to persona development, from animus balancing to archetypal resonance. Now we'd love to hear your perspective. Which of these Jungian traits do you believe matters most in creating lasting love? Is it the safety created by emotional vulnerability, the magnetic pull of genuine purpose, the trust built through everyday kindness, or the soul-deep resonance of intellectual and spiritual alignment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're genuinely curious to know which of these insights resonated most powerfully with your own experiences or observations about love and human connection. If this exploration of psychology and relationships sparked new understanding for you, consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We regularly dive deep into Jungian psychology, archetypal patterns, and the hidden forces that shape our relationships and personal growth. Your support helps us continue creating content that illuminates the profound mysteries of the human psyche. Remember, the most fulfilling relationships are those that inspire us to grow, and by understanding these psychological principles, we take one step closer to building connections that are both transformative and enduring. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the psychology of love.